I feel like I'm not at the point of investing in cars and chains and land and everything like that yet.
All right, guys, thanks for joining us on the Elation Podcast today, where we enjoy exhilarating euphoria through creation and collaboration. Today, we're here with Kr3wcial. How you doing, buddy?
I'm great. How are you today?
Good. Nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. How did you enjoy your Mardi Gras this year?
Apparently it's not over.
Oh, okay.
Listen, do y'all know about that? You know they canceled some of the parades, but they're running them this weekend.
Yeah, so that's I think it's better that way than just canceling. People, especially the parade people, they really try to do this all year long. So like to just cancel it kind of makes no sense.
Yeah.
But we had some crazy weather.
Yes, but it was questionable.
Yeah.
So some people feel like it could have been worked around, and then it was beautiful the next day. So
you know how New Orleans weather is. I can't ever trust the weather, man.
But investing that much money into throws, into the timing, the travel, I understand why they had to
flow,
rectify.
all that stuff.
They had to make that back. They had to find a way to do something.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, I'm happy that they're running it again.
Right.
But anything specific moment-wise that you had fun with this year?
A friend of mine's grandmother came down from New York. She's 85. She went to Muses. This was her first Mardi Gras. I think she left with like 5 shoes or something like that. So she was good. My global warming collective, we threw a party at Night Bloom, and that was packed. There was like an hour wait outside for the line. So but the music was so good. So that was a great time. It was just all around.
It was just a good one.
Yeah, it was a good one.
It was a good one. Yeah, I feel like the energy is great after the Super Bowl, man. I feel like we've got some great energy going on right now.
Yeah, it's a never-ending party. The amusement park is open for business right now.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, so let's talk a little bit about you, your origin story. Where are you from? Where'd you go to school? Let's start there.
I'm from the West Bank. I am from Algiers. I went to school all over the West Bank. I moved around a bunch. I ended up graduating from a school in St. Charles Parish.
Okay.
After the storm and everything like that.
Yeah.
Took a year off. Did about a year in California at Santa Monica College. Ended up coming down here, and then started pursuing music full time. I taught myself how to do production and engineering and all of that.
Yeah, awesome, man. That's how I learned as well. He's picking up the keyboard and pressing buttons.
Right, exactly.
Watching a few people and then just starting. But I feel like you have more. I want to say energy, but I feel like when you do your craft that way and you just kind of pick up and you start rolling without like actually being taught, I feel like there's more inherently in you,
right,
to want to do it, you know? Going to school is great, but just being able to pick up the ball and roll with it is part of the, creativity, I guess, that's inside, Well, so when did you decide you wanted to do music? What were you doing out in California?
Well, I started recording myself and all my friends when I was in high school.
Okay.
So it's like, I think it was around the time when We Are Young Money came out. So it was like Lil Wayne and a whole bunch of other people that were making music at the same time. So I was kind of doing that at the school I went to, where I record myself, record all my homies, put us all on songs together. And that was when I was in high school. So it was a while back.
Yeah, it was a while back.
And then when I went to California, I thought I wanted to study business marketing just to get into, because, you feel like you got to choose a career once you graduate, because that's how it's set up, especially with me not going to any like art schools or anything that would have helped me hone in on that type of craft.
Right.
So I was just trying to figure out the business of it. But it just turned into me leaning more heavy into the independent artistry and building the connections that would help develop and foster relationships to carry everything I did to the next level.
I got you. Well, business marketing is a great thing to learn, especially if you're in music. I mean, the marketing is 90%, I feel like.
Yeah, it is. It is 10% music and 90% everything else.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's good to have that side. I guess, did you pick up to be the engineer first, or were you wanting to be an artist?
I wanted to be an artist, but living in St. Charles Parish, there were no studios. There were outside of home studios.
Right.
So it's like the way I grew up was off of strength and independence and being able to build things with your hands and do stuff like that. And I figure there's no problem I can't, think around. So I went to this tech program while I was in high school at the Satellite Center, and one of the instructors at the Satellite Center, he always tells me, he's like, stop telling people that. But I'm going to say it. When they gave me my computer, I downloaded Mixcraft, and I started recording people off of whatever I had. I think I had like a Rock Band microphone from the game. Right. So the quality was low, but it was still the fact that I was taking the steps to go. And that's what it's about, just getting it all started.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, and without those origin stories, I feel like you don't grow. So like, those first couple things that we recorded were definitely horrible, but they get you going, and they get things started. So, well, tell me a little bit about the Global Warming Collective and what you've built down here.
I always tell people, for me, global warming is just a collective of people that I have almost 10-year relationships with all of these people that I met separately, and we all worked collaboratively in our own ways, and then eventually we all came together to do a thing.
Right.
The concept of global warming is Pell's brainchild. So he knew that after seeing what level the industry was at in other places and knowing the talent level that existed in New Orleans, it didn't make any sense for us to not be able to move forward together.
Correct.
So him, Malik 95, Nate, Juan, everybody came together and was like, okay, this is what we're going to call it. This is how we're moving, and this is the intention. It's just to change the climate, provide opportunities, share opportunities, and grow together so we can all further what we do in the alternative hip hop scene in New Orleans.
Got you. Create a small union.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I mean, I agree. There's nobody cultivating the culture down here.
Nah.
Because I'm born and raised here, and I mean and Pell will tell you the reason why I built this building back here was because I wanted to bring what the industry is to New Orleans.
Right.
Because we're way behind as far as the mentality for these artists to actually do something and break. They don't even know how fast they're not moving.
Mm-hmm. And the amount of stories that have gotten lost from these creators and creatives just because they didn't have an opportunity to tell people what's going on. And I feel like that's the issue with being in New Orleans. It's like museum culture. Mm-hmm. It's like they're trying to preserve almost one theme of thing and put it on the cycle and rinse and repeat over and over again. So I always tell people, when you look at the festivals that come down here, like you can see how many rappers are on there. And it's like how many opportunities that means for young people in the creative scene, to the point to where we feel like we all got to leave to do anything or make something that caters to keeping the party going.
Right.
So it's just, it's interesting. It's interesting.
No, I hear you. Well, it's definitely an industry that is old and antiquated down here, and being that old and antiquated is where you stick in those old and antiquated lines of genres of music.
Yes.
Louis Armstrong is not here anymore.
The Queens.
So we love the music and we make it a part of us, but we got to move on.
Yeah.
So no, I agree. And listen, it's the same thing. You got to pick up the ball and roll with it. So if there's no space for you, create a space.
And at the same time, being a son of New Orleans, you don't want to leave, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do. That's why I say Queens. Louis Armstrong isn't even buried here because he said he's leaving and not coming back because of the treatment. So it's like, I want to be able to invest into my community, but it sometimes can get difficult when the opportunities are
limited. Listen, I left. I was gone for 9 years in LA, and I mean, it taught me everything I needed to know. But my number one goal was getting back home to build something, And when I felt like I was ready, it was ready, But at the same time, like it's taken a lot, to get people to understand. Not only can you do it here, but the process of doing it, because everybody now an artist is now a label. There is no in between. You have to be every head.
Yep. 300 jobs.
Yep.
At one time, all on you.
At one time.
Yep.
Yep. and you can have a team, but you know, I feel like until you start paying your team or you're hiring people that have done things before, your team is really almost a hindrance.
It can be. You have to, I feel like after working consecutively in this and looking at teams that exist and building a team within my own community, you have to find people who are equally as passionate as you. And that's almost like finding a gym buddy. It's about like finding somebody who is about waking up whatever hour and understand this is a 24/7 industry that never stops, and they want to, you know, help you grow and develop with you, because sometimes it's just about people finding opportunities for themselves, and then, you know, they go from one thing to the next thing. And I've seen that happen over and over again. And then I've also seen people who have been together so long. Tavi and Tank just got Grammys together, and Norm. So it's like sometimes it takes way longer than people will realize to stay together and move as a unit. But once that commitment starts to fruit, then all the planted seeds, you know, they make sense. It's all worth it.
No, there is no time frame on music.
Exactly.
You know, it could take 5 years, it could take 5 months, it could take 50 years. You know, it depends on, you know, a lot of the situation. I mean, it's almost like the football team. Like, you know, like you keep firing your head coach every couple of years. There's nobody who's going to be able to implement anything, and you're not going to be able to let anything grow.
Nope.
You know, a tree doesn't grow in 3 weeks. You know,
some trees grow for thousands of years.
Yeah, you know, it takes a while to get your roots in.
Yeah.
You know, so I feel like music has a lot to do with that. Well, tell me a little bit about the single and things that you wrote. It says you wrote 504.
Yeah,
the breakfast single.
That's this is when single. This is when I was working at the studio on 4042 Lane, where I feel like everybody who makes music in New Orleans has been through at one time or another. Even that location has a significant amount of history there, because it used to be Pelican Stadium, where Jackie Robinson played, and then there was the Tulane Hotel, where supposedly the JFK assassination might have been plotted out by the New Orleans mob, but that's a story for another time.
That's another story.
Yeah, but I worked with a whole lot of people over there, and it was just me and my homie Naya were in a spot, and he made a beat. I was like, I'll give you a very reasonable amount of money for this beat, because we were friends. So we selling each other beats and things at low prices. So it's just so you can, I don't know, get something to eat if you feel like it. So he sold me the beat. I recorded the song right quick. Sleazy was in the studio with me, so I was like, hey, come put a verse on this, because I can't think of how to start the verse, but I already laid the hook. And then my homie Bees, he has the trumpet solo. He was down the hall at his studio, and I called him. I said, hey, come down here. I'm going to tell you what to play. Just play it. So we put that together, and that sat as like just not a throwaway, but just a song I had for like 2 years. And then global warming started to manifest itself as a collective, and we were working on volume 1. And I called Pell. I was like, hey, I got this song. I'm going to just pitch it. Y'all can have it. We can release this as a part of the project. So it wasn't essentially supposed to be the single. The single was supposed to be a different song. And Nesby Phipps was actually supposed to be the first verse on 504. But it ended up, we recorded at Cove Young's studio, Axiom on Ferret. And Pell laid the first verse. And then once we started to tease the song, and perform it at like house parties and stuff like that, we got to immediately see the response behind it and the way people felt about it. And then fast forward, it's like we've done it at the Pelicans game. We did it at Jazz Fest, French Quarter Fest. We've had it placed on different content pages and things like that. I think the Mayor shared it when it came out. Juvenile shared it when it came out. Currency shared it when it came out. Me and Pell have traveled, and even when I was doing a residency in New York, I was out there, and this guy that I met who was from down here, I didn't know who he was, and he didn't know me, but he was like, bro, that song's on my wedding playlist. He was like, I listened to that to feel like I'm back where I'm from, even though I'm on a whole separate side of the world. So it just started to resonate through the people, and you know, that's one of those situations where I didn't make it for the album. I made it because of the city, because this is where I'm at. So this is how I was feeling.
It was organic.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and it came across that way. The energy obviously made it circle around that way. You know?
Right.
Sometimes you can't you can't recreate those moments.
No, you can't.
You know, they're just there, and sometimes you just staying in the studio will create those moments too.
Yes.
You know, I always tell a lot of producers, you know, they ask me advice all the time, and I say stay in the studio, because there are those moments where like studio might have a major artist in, and they might need a beat.
Yep.
And you might be the only one in the room.
Yes. And it doesn't have to be a complex beat.
No.
They just feel like making something.
And then the next thing you know, you might have a single. You know, and so, but if you're not there, you don't get that opportunity. Yeah. I feel like I you know, those natural collaborative moments are just something that you know, you don't get to recreate, but you remember forever. And music does no good on the computer, so
no. It's for the world, man. It's for everybody, and it's supposed to make people feel the thing. And I know sometimes keeping it genuine in the creative process can kind of make you feel like, okay, well, somebody's gonna like this, but everybody might not rock with it. But you'll never know if it stays on your computer.
No,
you gotta put it out.
You gotta put it out. Yeah. You know, and a lot of times the song that you think nobody's gonna connect with is the one that everybody connects with.
Everybody likes, and it might have been the one that, like I said, that song sat on the computer for 2 years.
Yeah,
like I showed a couple of people, and they was like, "Yo, that song's special. Just watch." And I was like, "I don't even know if the song's coming out." And it just turned into like, "Oh, this song has kept the lights on. This song is, you know, it's fed a few people."
Absolutely.
My homie who made the beat, he ended up passing away during COVID, and like, so we gave most of the rights to the song to his mom. So she hits me up every time deposit day hits. So she was like, "Thank you, I appreciate you." Yeah, and I was like, "Okay, this is a real thing. If we do nothing else, we really have impacted people, and we've really seen how this can open doors for us, and because other people are paying attention now. My other artist homies are getting more attention because we're all together. So it's like we all together at the same time.
That creates a wave.
Yeah, it started the wave.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, what was it like working with Deezle?
Oh, that's my dog, man. That's my guy. Working with, Deezle and Nate already knew each other. And most of the people who are here knew each other. But he had moved away for a while and recently moved back and opened a studio off Chapatulis. And I think we saw each other at the NOLA Music Con. And I knew who Deezle was. Lil Wayne's my favorite artist and always has been. So I know that the B-Bill front to back, Ms. Officer front to back, most of the Carter 2, 1, and 3 front to back. So it's like, this is somebody whose sound I was familiar with. So Deezle ended up, he was like, "Yeah, I know who you are." Because I heard 504 and I talked to Nate and I was like, I heard the album. And it was like, "I know who you are." I was like, "Oh, all right, cool. I was like, hit me up if you ever need anything." And he was like, "All right, I'm working on an album right now. It's called The Box Bangers. I'm gonna send you some beats." He sent me some beats. I did something on one of the beats with Alfred Banks. We have that on tuck. Then he called me one day and he was like, "Hey, that song you just sent me with Alfred Banks, I know you was just sending it to me, but I have an artist in the studio with me right now. He heard your verse and wants you to come get on the song he's doing right now." I pulled up like 15 minutes later, 10 minutes, knocked out a verse for somebody. They paid me. I was like, "Oh, okay, we just made money together. That's cool." And you have Grammys. You had the biggest song in the world at one point in time. That's crazy. So that happened. He called me back. He was like, "All right, I need you to do this on my album." It was the same day we did Wednesday at the Square. So we did that show at Global Warming. I got off stage, drove to the studio, knocked out that song that's on his project right now. And it was just a crazy verse. And we did like 3 more crazy projects while we were over there. I did a feature for another artist named Indus Blue that's coming out soon. So it's just, once we started working, we didn't stop working. And I remember one moment, I did my verse, and I remember because I wrote it in like 10 minutes. He stopped the beat. He was like, "Yo, you can really rap." I was like, "What you talking about?" He was like, "Listen to what you're doing right now." I was like, "Oh." I knew I could hear it. I didn't know anybody else could hear it.
Right.
So that was just a super dope moment. That somebody who has sculpted the sound of one of the greatest artists of our time respects me enough to bring me into what he's working on and help me make money and meet people out here, because that's the main thing we do it for, to pay it forward and pass it around.
Absolutely.
So shout out my dog Deezle.
There you go. Yeah, no, the circle of business, man. The business chart, like, if everybody can create businesses that just keep funneling each other, and we can keep making, circles, and everybody can live together and be happy. That's what we're all doing, man. That's what we're doing it for.
It makes it functional.
Right.
You have to reinvest into yourself and then the community at the same time, so it keeps the wheels turning. You can't just keep it all. No. It's not how it goes.
No, collaboration.
Yes.
Collaboration. Because everybody's got a contact that somebody else doesn't have.
Yes.
You know?
That's the main way collaboration is the main way I've been able to do anything. Shout out to Global Warming, Pell, all my peoples. Shout out to Waterseed. They just had me at the Louisiana Philharmonic Orchestra performance they did. I popped out and did that
Nice.
like 2 weeks ago. So it's like always nonstop when you're constantly working with people.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's see. How do you think you celebrate your wins?
I've recently been finding better habits of celebration. And
because it's tough as a collaborator. I feel like as a creative collaborator, like I feel like the wins we don't always sit in.
I feel like the moments of stillness are rooted in the things that you can't control the speed of. So it's like I also have my private wins where I produced a theme song for one of my homies on the Shondaland network, and I've had my own placements on different things out here and beyond, touring. So it's like every time I need to celebrate, I go buy a plant. And then I put the plant outside. I call it my sound garden because I feel like every step that I take, I want to be able to visibly see something. I feel like I'm not at the point of investing in cars and chains and land and everything like that yet.
Gotcha.
But as of right now, I know buying these plants is like a visual display. It's my trophy case.
Gotcha.
It's like, so I got my pictures and that's great. And I got my videos and that's great. But I also have my cactus and my Arabian jasmine, and I have my milkweed for butterflies, and I have ivies, and I have a monkey tail plant out there, and I have a hummingbird.
So you're a real green thumb.
Yeah. No, my family was always like outdoors, farmers, trappers, cowboys, everything like that. So it's like, yeah.
Awesome. Plant a seed, huh?
Exactly. Shout out to Gazzy. I also like to always wear things that I got from or with people in my community. Even like the jewelry I have on is from my homegirl Coolin Brown. And then I got this while I was touring in Paris last summer. I got this from my homie Ghazi Gamali. Shout out to him. This is a Larizi shirt. Shout out to Larizi.
There you go.
So it's like, it's all in the same thing.
Absolutely. New Orleans from top to bottom.
All the way, man. Put on every chance I can.
That's awesome, man. No, and we should, because I feel like New Orleans has given me so much of of myself, and I'm so proud to come from here, because I just when you leave New Orleans, you understand how special this place is.
Yes. And why people love you. As soon as you say you from where, oh, I love New Orleans. Man.
Yeah, and they're willing to talk and say anything to you. You know, is there it like opens up a doorway into communication and collaboration. Even if you're not in the same industry, somehow you can end up having a conversation with anybody.
The theme song I did was because one of my homies, he's a baker. He's a professional baker. Artisan Brian, shout out to Brian. He had one of the #1 best-selling baking books on Amazon, New World Sourdough. He just released the second one, New World Sourdough.
Nice.
And he hit me up because he was just looking for artists to collaborate with while he was building up his brand. He was like, bro, you made a song about pizza. I'm a professional baker. Let's make a song when I get down there. He came down here, we did a song, and that song turned into me going out to New York for the first time to perform that song at the Essex Market with him for the video release that he did. And I was like, this dude is a baker. It doesn't make sense. And you're from New York, or you're in New York. You're from down here, but you're in New York, and you've still found a way for us to be able to collaborate and do so many awesome things.
That's awesome.
So fire.
Well, everything needs music.
Yeah, everything needs music.
Everything needs music. I mean, even your plants have music.
Oh,
they listen to music, and they speak, and they sing music too.
I play music for my plants. I'm gonna just say that.
Okay, so what's all right? Well, so I have 2 questions on that. What's your favorite music you like to play for your plants?
Simply Beautiful.
Okay,
I agree.
Okay,
yeah.
And what type of reaction do you see your plants have?
I feel like they're relaxed. They feel great about themselves, and they are proud that we all get to grow together. So while they growing, I'm growing. We all have our seasons. We might drop a few leaves, but we gonna come out and continue to bloom every day.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like, that science test that you see when they do with music, where they play it through water, and you see the vibration of water.
Right.
And when you play something like an Al Green and then how smooth the water moves, and then you play a hard rock song and then it's crazy vibrations.
Yep.
We're 90%, 98% water. So if you think about how music should affect your body, I feel like it would do the same thing for plants. Definitely. You know, if you play hardcore, you know, kind of angry music, you're gonna get angry plants.
Well, and we're in the era of the 808,
right?
So it's like we live in a low vibration trend time right now. So it's like I'm aware of those vibes because we also create the sound, and on those you need to exist on the full spectrum because that's just a living experience. But you don't want to oversaturate it. So it's like at times you want those vibes where it's like these are all strings and woodwinds and things like that. And then sometimes you bring out those 808s or those, like you said, those hard, grungy basses. You bring out that punk, you bring out that metal. But everything has its time.
Yeah, everything's got its time. Yeah. Absolutely. Everything's got its time. Well, what do you think your favorite plant is?
Currently my jasmine because it smells the best when it blooms. Yeah.
Okay.
But I also love my milkweed because it brings butterflies.
Butterflies.
Yeah. And I get to sit there and watch my butterflies. And it's like, or at least watch my caterpillars attempt to become butterflies. The freeze messed up the last go around.
Man,
But it's okay because they have a 5% chance of even reaching the chrysalis stage. 3 out of 9 hit the chrysalis stage, and this is without me putting them in the net. This is with me just putting the plant out there and just watching. So the next go around, now I'm gonna build a butterfly box and do my best to nurture the things that are already growing naturally.
Gotcha.
Yeah, a new thing to learn.
That's awesome, man. No, and it's got to be relaxing to watch stuff like that.
It's crazy. They just eat and eat and eat. Then they sleep, and then I'm watching a bug sleep. He's just hanging there, and then he's gonna wake back up and then eat and eat and eat. And even the process of a caterpillar completely liquefying its body and then reassembling its organs to become a butterfly is fascinating.
It's pretty crazy,
man. That's why I'm like, okay, this is way deeper than I can understand.
Right,
but I get to observe.
Well, hopefully you could do the same type of transition in music because I feel like you can give all of yourself into a song. So if you think about it, you kind of do the same thing.
But you know what I wonder as I watch those same butterflies is if they know during the chrysalis point that, like, do you have a
tell? An
awareness of your liquid state.
Right.
Like, do I know that this is what I am doing or do I just know that I'm programmed to eat, wait, reemerge? It's like I'm always, like it doesn't feel like I'm in the water when I'm swimming in it. So it didn't feel any differently when I was with my homies performing on big stages or when I was with Deezle in the studio and I was touring with Pell. But then I look back afterwards.
When you look back.
Yeah, and then like, oh, we really just did that. We really just performed 504 with Tank and Big Frida at Jazz Fest. I was like, oh, I wrote this song in the trenches. Like when we wasn't nowhere near where
But that's when you were liquefying yourself. Yeah. That's it's funny, man. Life brings all kinds of nature brings different aspects into your life that you don't even realize. Like how nature is basically how different levels of our creative process. Like nature is just it's natural music, so it does similar things that we do in our creative habits. I guess we were created by nature, so it makes sense.
Exactly, we're a part of it. That's why it's best to be aware. I said in Pocahontas, you got to paint with all the colors of the wind. Like there's a depth to it, and sometimes it doesn't make logical sense. But if you look beyond logic and look at what nature, logic doesn't say something should go from physical to liquid to physical again. Like, I don't know. It's a living experience. It's my favorite part about it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I mean, so to that point, I mean, I guess I could kind of hear your answer already just from talking to you, but what do you think brings the most elation to you in your life?
I think the thing that brings me most elation is my awareness that this is a trip, and it's my duty to enjoy it as I get through it. So it's like you don't know what's coming next all the time. You can plan a pretty picnic, but you can't predict the weather.
Right.
You know how it goes. So it's like that's my favorite part about it is every day I get to do it again. And every day I get another opportunity to grow. And you never stop growing.
No. It's the beauty is the journey, not the destination.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And I think we definitely look forward too far sometimes and get caught up in the destination, and we lose placement in how far we've come. Because it's like you got to look back and see how many years you've been doing this, how many calls you get on the regular, how people respond to you in your career path. That lets you know you're in this for real. You are reassured. You don't need anybody like clapping for you or patting you on the back. You don't need your hand held. Look, you can do it. It has proven itself. Just look at the pattern.
Absolutely.
So if the things keep coming, that means they never stop coming as long as I'm going.
I hear you. Well, and music lasts forever. So, you're putting something on this earth that everybody will listen to forever.
Right.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, great. Thanks for coming today, man. I'd love, love talking to you. And I think I'm excited to see what you guys are going to be put out next. Because, cultivating the music down here is what is needed.
Yes.
So I'm excited to see more projects that come out like yours.
Definitely. I appreciate you.
Can you tell everybody where they can find your music and socials?
You can find me on Instagram at Kr3wcial or my website, www.ikrucial.com, Kr3wcial, crucial with the 3. The music, all platforms, Kr3wcial, Kr3wcial. Global Warming Volume 2 is on the way out. Be Okay is a new single I have that's out now. A new Global Warming song is out now called Somebody. Global Warming Volume 2 is coming as well, if I haven't said it enough. My personal project, God Is With Us, should be dropping this October, so that's dope. And yeah, just wherever me and my homies are at, the beautiful music will be, and the hardworking musicians. And if anybody needs anything, do not hesitate to contact me or my people. We're here for y'all. Crew.
Awesome. Well, great. Well, like I said, thanks for coming by today, and thanks for having us here at the Elation Podcast. If you haven't liked, subscribed yet, please do, and see you next time.
Peace. Kr3wcial.